Welcome to my Views and News, Tuesday's first video. Main news story is from the Oromia region of Ethiopia, where protests are intensifying, anti-government protests. The protests started from what happened in Wellega within the last 3 to 4 days, and now protests are intensifying. Could these protests turn into an anti-government movement? Could there be an anti-government student movement? Is that what political parties are trying to achieve? Start of a student movement against the government. Regional and federal governments. OLF issued a statement, and new movements by the name of Qeerroo are resurfacing. Qeerroo movement played a key role in dismantling EPRDF. And Fano also spoke. Viewers, Fano fighters, they have released a statement. What is their position about what happened in Wellega? Firstly, viewers, what happened in Wellega is having an impact in entire Oromia. Protests started in Oromia around 48 hours ago. The first protest was in Nakamte, I think. And then we saw that gradually these protests are spreading. Students are becoming involved. They're being encouraged to be involved. In which cities, main cities and zones of Oromia, protests have been held yesterday and today. Some are still ongoing. We have details for you. Then we'll try to analyze these protests. At universities, mainly at universities, students are protesting. Yesterday, we reported about a protest at Amhara University. Then today at Ambo University, students protested. Rift Valley University campus protested, students protested. And Adama University students, they also protested. Apart from university students, school students, secondary school students are being mobilized too. Today, there was a protest at a school which is in Addis Ababa, Wako Goto School in Ethiopian capital. Birde Secondary School in Bali Zone, in Nakamte, in RC. So you see that in different, in several cities and towns of Oromia, people are protesting, mainly youth. Mainly youth is being mobilized. We have some clips for you from today's protests. What are these clips? Then we try to analyze what is being done. Are opposition parties and some opposition groups in Oromia trying to start a student anti-government movement? Watch these clips first. it seems that an effort is being made to mobilize students, to mobilize youth. Youth played a key role in dismantling of EPRDF alliance, which youth of Oromo youth. From 1991 till 2018, EPRDF alliance led by TPLF was the main power in Ethiopia, though a political party from Oromia was part of that alliance too. But we saw demonstrations against EPRDF and youth Qeerroo movement protested for months. Then Jawar led these demonstrations, though the demonstrations against the government started before Jawar started. He was seen leading the protests, or he was seen participating. So the protest started, and later some activists, political parties, they became involved, and pressure mounted on a federal government, on EPRDF, and we saw that EPRDF Prime Minister had to quit. Then came PM Abiy from Oromia. PM Abiy was from a political party which was a part of EPRDF alliance. And because protests were in Oromia, that is why Oromos were given the opportunity to lead the country. Now, once again, an effort is being made to mobilize youth in Oromia, the youth which toppled EPRDF alliance in 2018. Though only TPLF is not part of PP. Otherwise, other main parties which were part of EPRDF, they are part of PP now. So we did not see any significant change in Addis Ababa. That is why perhaps people still believe in Oromia that there is need of a new movement. Political parties like Oromo Liberation Front, maybe OFC as well. OFC is silent largely. OLF issued a statement today, and it backed protests ongoing. It asked people to unite, to organize themselves. It asked students to express themselves. And it quoted some historical grievances against Amharas, that Menelik committed genocide of Oromos. And it said that now it was time for Oromos to fight for their rights, for self-determination. OLA is playing a role as well militarily. OLA is fighting. We saw that in Wellega. Oromo Liberation Army was involved. Oromia regional forces too. Fano fighters entered from Amhara region, and ethnic Amharas living in Wellega are armed too now. They are armed. Majority of them, they are being armed. And that is one of the reasons behind ongoing conflict. Not the sole reason, one of the reasons. So, Oromo Liberation Army, OLF, other players in Oromia, opposition groups, they are trying to start a street movement, student movement, youth movement against the government. Oromia regional government is largely silent. We have not seen any statements from the regional government, federal government. Why? Federal government is in a difficult position. It is not in a position to support Amhara or Oromia. Both sides have conflicting positions about what happened in Wellega. So that is why Addis Ababa is silent. Oromia regional government is being accused by Amhara region-based groups of being in alliance with Oromo Liberation Army. On the other hand, opposition groups like OLF, OLA, they accuse Oromia regional government of being responsible for the massacre of ethnic Oromos. It means that Oromia regional government, Ethiopian federal government, they are not in a commanding position in Oromia. There is a vacuum, though ENDF is operating, but politically there is vacuum. This vacuum is being filled by these protesters. Can opposition parties cash in on these protests and start a youth movement, street movement against the government? That remains to be seen, but effort is being made, it's very clear. Meanwhile, Fano, two Fano factions from the Amhara region issued statements in the past 12 hours. They are saying enough is enough. Ethnic Amharas being massacred in Wellega for years. Now, it will not be tolerated. So, in a way, they are announcing that they'll fight back. There is no political solution. And we have not seen any demonstrations in Amhara region so far, since the start of this new escalation. Most of the killed seem to be Oromos. That is why we are seeing this huge reaction in the Oromia region. And we are receiving details of names as well. Yes, there could be some ethnic Amharas killed too. There were forces fighting too, Fano versus OLA, Oromo Liberation Army, Fano, then Oromia Regional Force, ethnic Amhara. There could be killings of ethnic Amharas too living in Oromia. But it seems that majority of killed are Oromos. That is why we're seeing this huge outburst of anger in Oromia against the government, regional government and federal government. So Fano, Amhara region-based groups, they have made up their minds that now they'll not tolerate any killings of ethnic Amharas in Oromia, in Wellega especially. Tensions rising. No intervention so far. Around 4 days have passed. No political intervention to de-escalate the situation. ENDF can control law and order situation for a few days, but this is not solution. Deployment of ENDF is not solution. Though we saw a statement from a Fano group calling for establishment of a military command post in Wellega. These Amhara region-based groups, they want Wellega to be controlled by ENDF because they say that OLA and Oromo regional government, they are in secret alliance. And ethnic Amharas living in Wellega, living in Amhara, Oromia border areas, Oromia Amhara border areas, they are unprotected. That is why they support deployment of Ethiopian National Defense Force. Can ENDF be deployed in entire Wellega along entire Oromia Amhara border? Though it should be supported, I think, that at least border should be secured by Ethiopian National Defense Force. No calls for deployment of ENDF in Oromia. Calls are being made for this deployment in Amhara region. So overall, it's a very rapidly evolving situation. Oromia regional government is silent because it wants to use these protests to build pressure upon Amhara regional government, upon federal government, that people are protesting and militias from Amhara region are entering Oromia region. That is why regional government is silent. Federal government is in a difficult position. It is not in a position to support one or the other party. So that is why it's silent. But whenever there is vacuum, this vacuum is exploited or it's filled by other parties. That is why these demonstrations are intensifying. If there is no intervention, you will see the demonstrations will spread. And there could be something which could be a source of, it could be a matter of concern for the regional and federal governments. Thank you for watching.